You say that we should boycott a lot of stuff. Iran, unlike many countries as Denmark, is not based on a private sector. It's mostly governmental based. When you boycott a country that is mostly governmental based, you take away the power of the people to buy stuff, and and the government who has the money is able to buy everything anyway by having bribes, going to other countries. They will get the technology they need to locate and find people, but the people won't have that tech, for example, to put the news out. So all their phones will be boycotted. If gas is boycotted, people can't travel, but the government will still have their gas. So you're taking the power away from the people instead of giving people power. So that's why the sanction and boycotts will hurt the people more than the government, because the government has already all the power. So we need to, instead of boycotting, give that technology to people. For example, Google giving those services, giving permission for example, their secure browsers to be downloaded, so people can give information. So a lot of times, boycotting a government is going the other way and helping the people getting more technology, maybe exporting technology or different stuff to them. And I think that will help more than the sanctions. I want to know why would you feel that boycotting is better than helping the people straight?
Well, I acknowledge that there's no sanction which only and directly damages the government. I fully acknowledge there'll be side effects. But if we take the example which you mentioned with Google, promoting secure service for the people, for the resistance movement in Germany, for instance. Well, if we have no sanctions, no barriers, so to speak, for software developers in Europe to export products to Iran, there will be no restriction after Google has sold proprietary service to the resistance movement, then selling the keys for the proprietary standards to Ahmadinejad's regime afterwards. Well, thereby, even maybe without letting the first persuader know, thereby, you have actually weakened the opposition tremendously, I see it, in Iran. I agree that a boycott will also harm the people, but it doesn't stand alone. What I want to do is to send a very clear signal to the Iranian population, the Iranian regime, that now we are boycotting. But of course, we will in any way which is necessary be supporting the opposition groups. Each and every individual, each and every group within Iran must have support, financial support, weapon support, software support, whatever it takes, from America, from EU, from any civilization, any country who wants to be in the fight against the Tehran regime. So if you look at it isolatedly, only from the boycott perspective, I agree to what you say, but it can't stand alone.
Can I reply to that?
Yes, you can reply, of course.
First of all, I like to put in focus that the Green Movement has mentioned many times that it's a peace movement and it does not use any kind of weapons or anything. And I do think sending a signal to a country that kills its own citizens in front of cameras of the world, do you think these kind of people will really care for any kind of signal? Or they would just continue doing what they would do from signals that they get? They're getting signals around the world that you're killing your own people. Human rights issue in Iran is completely dead. They're threatening the world no matter what they want to do. Do you think just giving a signal will make them change their mind? 3.5 million people walked in silence in the city of Tehran on the day of the demonstration, giving a signal to the government, and they really didn't care.
I can assure you the signals do actually have an effect. The reactions of the regime during the Green Movement is actually a response to signals from all over the world. But again, it doesn't stand alone. And that's why I think it's so important that we, don't just feel rest assured that if the UN reach an opinion, everything will be settled and everything will be good. I think we need to send signals all the time. I don't know, you're probably not aware.
Don't you think the strongest signal was the 3.5 million silent people walking on the streets in Tehran?
Sure. Well, I don't want to compare and say whatever is strong.
And the attention from the rest of the world following these people and I mean, encouraging you,
but
right?
Still with that 3.5 million people, that same government, getting that signal, started shooting at that 3.5 million people and started killing so many people. So I don't think that the government cares for any signals. This is a government which is very selfish, and they are just doing it for power. And they would do basically anything for a few more days in power.
But you have to understand that sending these signals is not only meant to the Iran regime, it's also meant to our leaders in the West, in China and wherever. If we can show clearly that the population of Europe, of Denmark, actually is feeling strongly about what's going on in Iran, that sends a signal to our government, who is negotiating with Iran in this regime. And so we need, I think, we cannot underestimate anything. Of course, we shouldn't do the opposite.
But we haven't had as much focus on Iran since last year. So it put Iran back on the agenda. What happened? The big movements and all your tweets. So I think this was one of the strongest way of putting Iran on the international agenda and the political agenda. But I would love to hear you. I mean, what do you think is the right way to empower the Iranian people to actually do, as you say, to take over power and get democracy?
I think you just said the most important thing, and it's having them in the media is the most important thing. Having the smallest news be covered instead of many entertainment news that's covered 24/7, that basically is a repeat, is a lot more important. Just having the voices of the people heard, and that's what the Iranian people are reaching out and keep saying. If you on Twitter or anywhere you say that we will take care of our country, but please hear our voices. And that was one of the things. And if you look back at the chants that went on, one of them was Obama, you're either with us or with them. And that chant right there, the people in the street chanting, that changed the position of the U.S. government against the Green movement, and they recognize them. And I think stuff like this is very important to having that media coverage. That media coverage around the world will give a much more clear signal to the Iranian government than trying to boycott them and giving them more power to beat down on their people.
But what you're saying here is
this must be the famous last words, because they came from a man who knows exactly what's going on. Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Morten. Thank you, Ida. And the debate will go on. And your message to Kaostv viewers and everybody around the world is